Peace, kings and queens, gods and goddesses. I really just want to talk to y'all about what I have been experiencing. Not just for public record, but as a testimony of truth. And please know that this is a lengthy testimony. It's extremely detailed by necessity, which is why I am reading it as is. Please stay, listen, and share, because this is so much bigger than me. Alright, so we're just gonna jump right into it. For those of you who don't know, my name is Heaven, and I have been in a very extensive court battle regarding my child. And we're gonna take it from there. Although this is my story, it reflects a system built on fear, legal tyranny, and conditioned dependence. A system that's convinced us we need permission to live freely, when the truth is we were born with the right to do so. But when we assert those rights, we're treated not as protected individuals, but as threats. We are gaslit, dismissed, intimidated, and broken down for simply demanding what is ours. This is about more than just me. This is about every person who has ever been told that their voice doesn't matter. I am here to say that it does. And when I started this journey, I had no idea, guys, I had no idea how much resistance I would be met with from simply asserting my rights. Like, oh my, what I have faced is a clear reflection of gaslighting, coercion, bullying, and abuse. It also speaks directly to why knowing and asserting your rights is not just important, it's imperative. This entire experience has been deeply disheartening. At this point, I would cry. I promise I would cry. But I have cried so much, it feels like I don't even have any tears left to cry. And I truly believed that understanding my rights would be enough. That I could assert them, move forward with my life, and be protected and be cool. And be cool, y'all. Just be cool. But this journey has shown me how naive I was. Even when I was following advice from others who seemed knowledgeable. I walked into this with high hopes and big expectations. And every time they weren't met, I was humbled. What's even more heartbreaking is that I genuinely thought that this could be resolved in county court. I had no idea that escalations would become this deep, this dangerous, and this personal. And I'm not gonna hold y'all, because honestly, a state level resolution would have been ideal. It would have been cool. I would have been cool with that. I thought, okay, at least at the state level, someone will take me seriously and someone will ensure that my rights are upheld. No. Flat the fuck out. No. Y'all. Oh my gosh. Y'all. I'm not gonna cry. I'm not gonna cry. There is really no other way that I can say this. I am fighting for my life. I am fighting for my rights and my children's rights every single day. Fiercely, consistently, and for the most part, y'all, I really am doing this alone. The weight of this fight, I can't even fully describe it. But even if there's anything in this life worth fighting for, it is this. It is this. Oh my gosh, it's this. We're gonna just delve deeply into it now. Like I said, I genuinely thought that things could be handled in county court, but I was very wrong. After facing ongoing violations, harassment, and outright abuse, I realized I had no choice but to escalate to the state and federal levels. Initially, I notified the Supreme Court of Ohio and the Supreme Court of the United States. The Supreme Court of the United States responded, stating that matters like mine would need to be escalated through state level first, under Article 3 of the Constitution, before any federal involvement could be considered. Further research led me to 28 U.S.C. 1257, which reinforced that principle. State level exhaustion is required before moving to federal jurisdiction. Okay. I also received a response from the Ohio Supreme Court, which provided instructions on how to formally submit an affidavit of disqualification. Now, let me be real with y'all. I was navigating this while working alongside other individuals who were also asserting their rights and seeking accountability. We were all trying to figure it out together. Period. And while I am grateful for the community, let me say this clearly. Not all advice is aligned with lawful procedure. Some folks were given input that directly contradicted the court's process, and I found myself blending the advice with official steps. Do not do that. Don't do that. Get advice, but verify everything yourself. People mean well, but not everyone has real experience, and misinformation can derail your efforts. This lesson, I had to learn the hard way. I did. It took me a few attempts, but eventually I got my affidavit of disqualification accepted and filed with the Ohio Supreme Court. And let's be very clear. This was not submitted as a request. It was a formal notice putting the Ohio Supreme Court on record regarding crimes and misconduct being committed by a judge in county court in Cleveland, Ohio. This is what that was. The affidavit of disqualification was ultimately denied. And this is where the group came back into play, because that's when I was introduced to whistleblower departments. To break it down for anyone who's unfamiliar, whistleblower departments exist to protect and empower people who report government misconduct, fraud, abuse of power, waste, corruption, or violations of law, especially inside the systems that are supposed to serve the public. And baby, what was I dealing with? This is exactly what I was dealing with. And this is exactly what whistleblower protections were made for. So, yes, I reported it with full documentation, timeline, supporting evidence, everything. Everything. I submitted full packages, documented timelines, detailed evidence, clearly outlining my experiences. Now, typically, these departments receive your information, review it, and then decide whether they can assist or not. But let me just say this. That entire logic makes zero sense to me. A violation is a violation. And the only way to properly determine any resolution is through a full, thorough investigation, period. So, I submitted IRS forms 211 and form 3949 which are whistleblower forms for reporting fraud and abuse related to the Internal Revenue Code. I also filed formal reports with federal trade commissions and the Securities and Exchange Commission via the TCR, Tips Complaint and Referral System. Out of all of that, the only response I received was from ICE, and honestly, it was beyond disappointing. After all of the time and the effort I put into compiling these notices, researching the supporting laws, citing codes, aligning everything with federal whistleblower protections, they flat out told me that they were denying every submission. Their reasoning? My reports did not meet the requirements under IRC section 7623A. Here is the fucking kicker. I made damn sure my claims satisfied their requirements. Oh my gosh. So in response, I sent a follow-up, a formal demand for rebuttal and accountability, because at that point, I needed them to explain exactly how none of my claims met the threshold, especially when I had already done most of the investigation legwork for them. And I have yet to get a response. And their deadline for rebuttal or response was May 21st, 2025. And that was explicitly expressed within the submitted documents. Let me be clear though. It was expressed as a numerical deadline from delivery date. To be specific, they had 21 days to respond to me. Y'all, this was not just no slap in the face. This felt like a direct stab to my heart. Whistleblowing is supposed to be a form of federal escalation. It's literally encouraged by these same agencies when misconduct is taking place. I didn't just take that advice blindly. I did the work. I verified it. I researched it. I followed the procedures they laid out to a T. And despite all of that, my reports were dismissed without proper review. That's not just irresponsible. It's unlawful. And it really just make me feel like I do not matter in this system. But what I'm learning is that we don't matter in this system. Oh my gosh. Until we force them to pay attention. And that is all the more reason to keep fighting. And please allow me to be clear. I am not counting the other whistleblowers departments out. In fact, one of them specifically states on their site that they conduct a full investigation before issuing final determinations, which I respect. Investigations take time, and I know that. But in the meantime, I can't afford to wait silently. I have to keep fighting. So, in the midst of all of this, I escalated the Supreme Court of Ohio's decision to deny my affidavit of disqualification, this time to the United States Department of Justice. And y'all, I'm not even gonna lie. That response it rocked me so hard. Oh my God. They told me that this wasn't a matter they could assist with. And that hurt. Because one thing about me, I do my due diligence every single time. I am not out here sending 2-page letters talking about my rights were violated. No, I am submitting full, detailed, evidence-backed packages citing the exact laws, rules, codes, and statutes being violated. I do not play about my paperwork. But instead of taking action, the DOJ directed me to the Ohio Supreme Court's Disciplinary Council. So what did I do? I took their advice, packaged up another comprehensive notice, included the DOJ's own response, and sent it straight to the Disciplinary Council on notice. And y'all are not going to believe what happened next. Oh my gosh, y'all not believe what happened next. I submitted 2 notices, one regarding the county court and the other addressed directly to the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Ohio. The Chief Justice personally denied my affidavit of disqualification. And what did they do? They completely disregarded both submissions as if I hadn't provided everything necessary to show the full scope of violations. To make matters worse, they essentially told me that I should be grateful I wasn't in jail given the illegal warrant that had been issued for my arrest. At this point, I had to stop and ask myself, what kind of system am I even dealing with? Because this right here is insanity. So y'all, please understand, throughout all of this, I have been breaking down. I am overwhelmed. I am mentally, emotionally, spiritually, physically, ethereal. I'm exhausted. I'm exhausted, to say the least. Ethereally exhausted. I am freaking the fuck out. And somehow, I am still managing to pull myself together to keep going. Gotta be God. A lot has happened during this time, but the most recent escalation was submitting formal complaints to the Department of Health and Human Services and the Department of Justice Civil Rights Divisions. As of now, I have only received a response from the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division. And y'all, I am just, yes, that's what I am. In my personal opinion, Those notices were some of the most comprehensive and solid submissions I have made to date. I was in my bag, y'all. These were not surface level complaints. These were urgent, well researched, and deeply documented packages. The county court case is still active through all of this, and that urgency was reflected in my submission. And what did they say? They said, based on the information, our team has determined that the situation you describe does not appear to be within the jurisdiction of federal civil rights laws we enforce. Then it continues to express a lot of nothing before saying, we are not determining that your report lacks merit. Excuse me? Reading that shit, y'all, that shit knocked the fucking wind out of my lungs. Because I don't just throw accusations. I do the work. I do the works so much. I invest serious time into learning, citing their rules, codes, statutes, and laws. I don't just meet the burden of proof. I often exceed it. I complete my due diligence. And there's two. Shoot. I bring them everything. So to be told it's outside of their jurisdiction after laying out violations of 42 USC 1983, 18 USC 241 and 242, clerk misconduct, CPS retaliation, court coercion, judicial overreach, abuse of authority, interference with protected custodial rights, formal jurisdictional challenges, spiritual injury, emotional, financial, physical, and procedural distress. All of which is well within their jurisdiction. And that shit broke my heart. It's like I am screaming into a void. And there's nothing. I am standing toe to toe with an entire system. That's clearly built to suppress me and calling it out with facts, with receipts. And I am being dismissed as if my rights are an afterthought or just not there. Even more, this is all after I submitted my declaration of status to the Ohio Secretary of State through UCC filing, which, oh my gosh, y'all, that's a separate story for another video, and we'll get to it another day. But just know, I feel blindsided completely. I don't even have the words anymore. It's something beyond disappointment. It's a weight that sits in your spirit. It is something. I am so tired, y'all. I cry so much. I carry what feels like the weight of the entire world on my shoulder. This affects my mood deeply. I despise how sometimes I see it show up in my mothering. And even though I always address it, and I always apologize when my overwhelming emotion spills into anything involving my children, I really don't want it to be like that. I am doing everything in my power to shield them from this chaos, but I am emotionally overwhelmed. I can't even begin to express the heaviness of what I am experiencing because I can't believe I'm even experiencing it. This shit is so wild, y'all. These rights, our rights, aren't simply going to be handed over by the very people actively working to suppress them. These are rights that I have to fight for every single day. And that realization alone is a lot to carry. Especially as the system continues to violate my rights. Impunity, harassing, threatening, bullying, and coercing me into submission. Especially when the very person encouraging the court continues to make it clear that none of this is about the child. And that part matters. It speaks directly to why I am the most equipped, the most capable, and the most qualified person to make decisions for my child. Because this court isn't just violating me, it's pushing to uphold the same generational cycles I am actively working to heal. This is deep, this is ancestral, and this is spiritual. That is why I even went so far as to share personal private information that was told to me by the other party, not out of malice, but to demonstrate why I am the best, why I alone, just me, I am the best position to guide my child. I know her needs, I know her heart, I know her story. This is my daughter. I have the right and the responsibility to protect her and to make decisions on behalf without state interference. I don't need help. But we weren't conditioned to believe that. And my God, the way that they are making me fight just to live in the truth of being her mother is unfucking thinkable. It's unbearable. It's unreal. It's quite confusing, actually. Y'all, my mind be spinning trying to process this. I had no idea this was the system I was even living in. But let's get back to the case. Now, y'all, things have been moving, and honestly, it's been a lot. The Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division has violated so many of my rights that I am truly at a loss for words. They have tried gaslighting me, manipulating me, tried to bully, threaten, and coerce me into consenting to something I have lawfully rejected many times. And the lengths they are willing to go even after I've consistently asserted my rights are beyond anything that I could have ever imagined. They've illegally assigned a guardian ad litem to my child. In response, I served her with a formal notice of discontinuation of legal services, citing clear violations of Rule 602 and 703, along with the relevant laws and statutes. I backed it up with facts because I don't just speak my truth, I support it. Then they involved Child Protective Services. Oh my gosh, y'all. That shit absolutely broke everything inside me. I have never done anything to warrant CPS being at my door. Ever. And yet they showed up anyway. Not because of abuse or neglect, but because I refused to comply with orders that I have no lawful obligation to. I haven't committed any crimes. All I have done is assert my rights, which is fully protected by their codes. If I'm being specific with one of them, 42 USC 1985, amongst other laws, statutes, and code and rules. What I've experienced is nothing short of retaliation, period. And I have responded every step of the way. After the first CPS visit, both the agent and the director of the Ohio Department of Children and Youth were served with an affidavit of fact and notice of jurisdictional challenge, demand for evidence, and cease and desist. This is all one document. I know they received the documents. I have proof. And still, no response. But just 1 week later, the same CPS agent came back to my door. So fucking yes, I cried. I broke down. I was exhausted, overwhelmed, and at the edge. But I pulled myself together and sent another document, a notice of federal escalation and formal default enforcement. Still, no response. To be clear, these individuals were reported in my formal complaint sent to both the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division and the Health and Human Services Civil Rights Divisions. Their misconduct is on record, and yet here I am, still waiting on accountability. Moving along. Let's talk about how this court took it a step further and issued an order that essentially allowed the other party to kidnap my child. And yes, I mean that quite literally. There has been no DNA test established to establish legal paternity. I have not consented to this case in any lawful capacity, and not once have I received a formal rebuttal from the court establishing jurisdiction. This was not just illegal, it was fucking insane. It was no different than a stranger writing a handwritten note, walking up and taking a child off of the street. The fact that so many people can't grasp the severity of this is frightening. That is terrifying to me. Under the actual law, what occurred here is called custodial interference, and they committed it through the courts. That right there was my ignition moment. It lit something in me like never before. I knew then that I had to get this documented and escalated immediately, because the way that they continue to ignore everything I submit is beyond negligence. It's intentional suppression. So I went straight for the clerk of court next. Remember, clerk misconduct. Let's be clear. That is a federal crime. And these clerks have been intentionally failing to file my documents for months. Once I served them notice and held them accountable, guess what happened? They started filing my submissions. That alone tells you everything you need to know. Now we're going to fast forward. I have just received a letter from my next pretrial, and honestly, I don't even have the words. The amount of corruption and audacity I am facing feels unreal. We gotta back up a little bit because context matters. This whole situation really began when my oldest daughter's father was released from prison. After his release, he initiated court proceedings. Following this, we tried to handle things outside of the system, but emotionally and mentally, I did not have it in me. I have endured so much already, and eventually, I set boundaries and stood firmly on them. As a result, I directed him directly back to the court. I have to be so fucking for real with y'all. I did not think that this would turn into this. when I directed him back to the court. I promise y'all with everything in me, I did not. I genuinely thought that by knowing my rights and asserting them through the courts, things would eventually be respected. And I believe that once I clarified my standing and established my position, he would come to accept my boundaries and the time that I requested for things to get to where he desired them to be. I was hoping for understanding and peace. That is it. I never came into this with malice. Never. At one point, I even considered filing for child support at the advice of another advice that I did request shortly, and they stated, "Well, it's the system they, as in our children's fathers, already exist in, so it just makes sense to use it." And I was so close to doing it until I realized that to receive these funds, I'd be handing my child over to the same system I was working to protect her and myself from. I'm cool. We are already tangled into this system to an extent, but once I started learning the truth, I had to be intentional and diligent about every choice that I made moving forward. And for me, that meant walk away from that route entirely. Keep the money, I don't need it. And I am sharing all of this because context matters. I believe in being honest and transparent, and this is the full picture, not just the surface. Anywho, even while this case was ongoing, I was still looking for ways to create a space for my child and the other party to see each other, but on my terms, in terms that I was comfortable with. At the suggestion of my daughter's counselor, I started researching supervised visitation centers. Up until then, y'all, I'm not even gonna hold y'all, I didn't even know that you could set something like that up without the court being involved. So by October 2024, I had shared my plan with the other party through a mutual contact, letting him know how I intended to move forward, including 2 visitation centers I was considering. A brief exchange happened between then and December 2024, letting him know which center I decided on and that I scheduled my intake, as was he required to complete one also. In December 2024, the mutual party informed him that I had completed my intake. I also made it clear that he would need to complete his own intake before we could be added to the waiting list. By that point, I had already been told by Safe and Sound Visitation Center that once both parties complete the intake, we'd be added to the wait list. And that could take a couple months before visitations could actually begin. When that was relayed to him, he told the mutual party that I will call tomorrow. Fast forward to March 2025. I called Safe and Sound myself to get an update. My daughter had brought it up several times to me and her counselor, so I needed answers. And that's when I was told he never completed his intake, so we were never added to the wait list. At that point, I'm beyond fucking frustrated, y'all. I'm not even gonna hold y'all. My daughter is asking why things are taking so long. You know how children are with patience, as to be expected. Meanwhile, he's had the audacity to file a motion for a warrant for my arrest and file a motion for shared parenting time, but still hadn't done the bare minimum I asked months ago and completed the intake. Okay. Still, I reached out. I told him again, we can't move forward until you complete the intake. He responded saying that he thought he already did it and he'd call tomorrow. Mind you, Safe and Sound asks that you set aside 30 to 45 minutes for intakes. So I was quite confused on how one could think that they completed something so extensive. Regardless, this is what was happening and I proceeded forward. Whatever. By April 2025, I submitted 3 documents, guys, to the clerk of courts. And getting those documents filed, oh my God, let's just say that it was a process, but it got done. One of those documents in particular was a notice of custodial authority and non-consent to third-party interference. And in it, I explicitly stated, I have taken independent steps to arrange peaceful, voluntary visitation through Safe and Sound Visitation Center. The opposing party has failed to participate in that arrangement. That is where things stood, and I made sure that it was on the record. Y'all. Tell me why the new order I just received now demands that both parties complete an intake for Safe and Sound Visitation Center by May 28th, 2025. Now, at first glance, this might seem like a good thing to some of y'all, but it's not. And let me tell you why it's not. This is not a new initiative by the court. I initiated Safe and Sound Visitation 6 months ago. On my own, in good faith. What this order really represents is an attempt to once again coerce, manipulate, and reframe my independent actions as court-mandated compliance. And no, this is not some conspiracy theory. This is exactly what systems like this do. If you are not paying attention, they'll use your own steps against you to force you into submission. Let's be clear. I have been trying to get the other party to complete his intake for an entire 6 months so that he could see our daughter. He has refused. He has ignored. He has dismissed. But now, all of a sudden, with the court order involved, he's willing to comply. And I am supposed to pretend that this isn't coercion. Y'all, this shit is so fucking wild. I can't even make this up. This court went from illegally ordering shared parenting time without jurisdiction, without verified paternity, without my consent, to now ordering supervised visitation through a process I already initiated and documented. This is not justice. It's manipulation. And now, oh my God, even after all of this, I still have to keep escalating. I still have to document, notify, and report these violations to the very system that claim it exists to protect me and my children. I am so fucking tired, y'all. I am tired. I am so fucking stretched thin. It hurts. I am scared. I am exhausted. I am carrying all of this while doing everything that I can to be present, loving, and a protective mother. I need help. Real help. I need help, guys. Oh my gosh. Fighting this alone has been so heavy, y'all. I promise you. I wish I had the words to describe the weight. I need help in every way the word help can be defined. Not just support. I need genuine, honest, patient, understanding, committed, and fulfilling help, from financial to public visibility. Because this, my story, is not just a cry for help. It is a blueprint. It's a warning, a testimony for every person being suppressed by the same broken system. I have carried so much on my own. I have walked so far with no map but my own research, no armor, my my own convictions, no company but my children. And I will continue to do so because this is a battle worth fighting. But together, oh my gosh, together we can spark a shift in the very foundation of this system. Together we can expose how rights are violated, how truths are buried, and how lives are twisted by the very institutions claiming to protect us. We can't keep letting everything stop at a hashtag, a trend, or hollow movement. We need real action because this system has shown us over and over again that we don't matter to them. Our rights don't matter to them, not unless we demand that they do. At some point, we must say no more because I matter. My children matter. We all matter. And no, it's not right that we have to fight so hard for something that should already be ours. But this is our reality. And either we let it break us or we rise up and change it. So I am asking you, help me, please. I shouldn't have to do this alone. And the truth is, I can't. Oh my gosh. But we can. We are stronger, wiser, and more capable than we've ever been led to believe. But the longer we act like we aren't, the longer this broken narrative will run our lives. Let's change the narrative. I still have so much love and hope for this world, and I hold on to that belief that change is possible. I just need y'all to believe it too. Excuse me. Hope is powerful, but it means nothing without action. And this is what it looks like to fight for something real. I hear people say all the time, I'll fight for my freedom. I'll fight for my children. Well, let me tell you, I have been at war for over a year now, and this battle will test you. It will hit you spiritually, mentally, emotionally, financially, and physically. But this is what it looks like to be in the mud, climb back to the rights that they tried to strip from us. This is bigger than just me. This is bigger than just my child. This is about rights. This is about rights that belong to all of us. Rights that they'll keep trying to bury unless we rise up and reclaim them. So here's what I'm asking from the depths of my spirit. If my story moved you, if you feel any part of my pain, if you believe in protecting our children, our rights, our humanity, I need you to act. You could do this by supporting me in the following ways. Be. Simply be. Be. It is not a crime to feel. It is not a crime to fall apart. It's not weakness to express, to rage, to cry, to be unsure, to break down. We are not robots. And we are not here to be polished, perfect, and palatable for systems that profit off of our suppression. We are here to be real, to live, to grow, to feel fully and freely. And yes, sometimes it's messy, sometimes it's loud, sometimes it's angry, selfish, tender, or scattered. But that's what makes it authentic, and it's what makes us human. That's what makes it divine. And this is something that has been suppressed and it appears to be something completely different. You can also donate. This battle has been emotionally, spiritually, and financially draining. If you are in the position to give, your donation will go towards printing, postage, document filing, continued legal research, and secure service to uphold every violating agency accountable. Below, you'll find my cash tags. Ask for my link to my GoFundMe. Amplify. Share this video, stitch it, remix it, talk about it, tag media outlets, tag civil rights organization, tag attorneys. We need this story to move beyond shadows and into the light. The more eyes on this, the less power the system has to hide behind silence. Send leads. If you know any civil rights attorney who will stand beside a mother protecting her child, a journalist who still believes in the truth, a whistleblower agency contact with integrity, newscast, or someone who's walked the same class, please connect me. This story is currently being ignored by the Department of Justice, Health and Human Services, both civil rights divisions, Cuyahoga County Court of Common Pleas Juvenile Division, the Ohio Department of Children and Youth, to name a few agencies. Help me put these agencies on notice, tag them, call them out, demand accountability. This isn't just a fight for my daughter. It's a fight for every guardian who's been silenced, every child whose well-being is overlooked, every family that has been steamrolled by systems pretending to protect us. Together, we are louder, we are stronger, we are necessary. Although this is my story, it's not just about me. It's about a system built on systematic abuse, legal tyranny, corruption, and fear. A system that has conditioned us to believe that we need its permission to live freely. But that is a lie. We are more than capable, and we have the right to lead our lives without interference from institutions that profit from our submission. Conditioning has distorted this truth so deeply, so thoroughly, that reclaiming our rights feels radical, but it's not. It's natural. They're ours. Yet, the moment we begin to assert those rights, the very ones we are born with, we are treated not just as if we don't have them, but as if they get to decide whether or not our rights still exist at all. This system operates by sinister creed. A man has no rights unless he asserts them. And even then, we are met with resistance, gaslighting, bullying, threats, dismissal, harassment, intimidation, psychological warfare. And all of this is meant to break us. But we can't keep letting ourselves be broken. We are not born to bow. We are born to rise. Change doesn't just happen. It's created. So please, don't scroll past this. Stand beside me. Share this. Support this. Witness this. Because the system is hoping you won't. And we're not giving them that satisfaction anymore. I love y'all beyond measure. Please stand with me. Please support me. Please share this. Please help me. Overall, we will be helping each other. In its totality, this will help the system change its entire dynamic if we stand together. I love y'all.